Hey everybody, we're excited for tonight to interview Christophe, and we're going to give, just as we always do, a little bit of time for us to connect with him and to get some things going. So bear with us and we'll get started here in just a moment.
I can go into mine. Right? So I can see comments.
Let's see. Okay, so just let that record. All right, let me go ahead and pull in Christophe here. 1 second.
Is that going to be recording the sides of our head?
That's recording that.
Ew. So confused at all the camera angles.
Yeah, don't.
Oh,
Bear with me here.
Confusing me.
Oh, no. I don't know why that does that. Kicks out. That's going to be a concern because all we're doing is just joining that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, you'll have to man that if it's...
Just keep pushing watch.
Watch if it kicks out.
I think it's... Can I have it closer?
Yeah.
Hi, guys. Technical difficulties.
Christophe, if you've joined the live, go live on your side on TikTok, and then I'll pull you in. Here we are. Hey.
Hey.
How we doing?
How are you guys?
Good.
We're blessed. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm just as blessed.
Oh my gosh, man! I am so excited to talk with you.
Me too.
I've got the monitor up. We actually are kind of doing an Instagram dual live with some Zoom stuff for a little bit later, and this works out really nice because I've got this monitor here, and as part of what
your
I
handsome
want,
face up there.
Not only just that, but I want to play, if I can, kind of the clip, right? There's just like a minute clip, and then we'll kind of get into it. But you guys, Christophe and I've been collaborating here kind of behind the scenes and getting this organized, and you guys are up for a treat. He had just barely finished his premiere. He's in the process of involved with his movie documentary. He's a writer of a book, 3 heart surgeries. I mean, this is the real deal right here, my friend. And if can I just jump right into the video?
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's kind of a start. Especially as we're gonna give a little bit of time for people to join, and this is also going to be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. And when we do that, then you can share that link however you'd like. But yeah, so for those that are just joining, we're going to go ahead and play. It started with the heart. He's got a few websites, and this is there's the videos on that. But let's go ahead and watch this trailer, you guys, and it'll give you an idea of kind of what you're up in for here.
My name is Christophe, and I have been through quite the journey of my life. I first fell sick when I was 6 years old with heart failure, and since then I have survived 2 heart transplants, a kidney transplant, lung collapse, gallbladder removal. I'm on a ventilator. I have been through hell and back, and somehow every time I've managed to come out on top. My hope in sharing my story is for those people out there who are struggling, that they can look to me and realize if he's able to do it, then I can too. I believe that I'm stronger now, despite being physically weak, than I ever was. And that is because of my mind and my spirit. And I'm just hoping that people can look at my story and realize that life can be beautiful. Life can be enjoyed. Life does not have to be miserable. No matter what you're going through, you can always make the best of it. And it may not be tomorrow. It may not be a week from now, a month from now, maybe years. But things do get better.
So love it.
Second.
So love it, man. Just got chills, my friend.
Thank you.
You have the right idea about the stories, your story, everybody's story that's out there. It's really deserving of a full-out documentary book and film. You know, what we're doing to have a 1-hour interview in some cases, it does not do justice to every one of them, even if that's a big step from a 3-minute posts here and there. And we also know that in the time that we've got a good hour and a half. I've talked with you about how we're going to have you back, right? And so we want to have you, continue to come back. But this is really an example of what I would love to see with everybody. Now, of course, they might not have all the resources and things, but whatever that next step is, right? Maybe that's you posted a 3-minute post and you've never done that ever. And you shared some things, whether that is coming on a 1-hour interview that's now out there and you've got a YouTube, whether that is, some of the things that you're going to share that you've taken it to. I just want to preface that, and that you are a good example of not just being an advocate for yourself, but you're an executive producer, author, and you've just really taken it at a level that's just so inspiring. So with that, I'll just shut up, my friend. What a thrill to have you.
Thank you. It's an honor. It really is.
That is, that's coming from you, my friend, that is just takes me personally, my breath away. And I need to, as I spent time learning about you and praying about you, you guys, this is the guy that you want. This is what when I talk about, and I beg you to just hang on, and that smiling and serving and positivity will not cure your broken bones or your broken body but what your spirit will do will just envelop all of that and lift you to places that you cannot imagine. So positivity, and he preaches it so beautifully. He preaches it, he lives it, he shows it, he is it. Somehow, I want to say, when I was praying about you, I had this vision of you just floating above earth, but you're staying close enough to us. You're able to grab our hands and pick us up. That's how powerful you are.
Thank you.
I cannot say enough to you and my Heavenly Father for your life and how precious of a moment this is that we get to have with you.
It's a huge honor. It's a
you.
very you could have just told me where to go,
Oh my
you
word!
Beautiful people yourself, so I feel very privileged, to even be on your platform, and any opportunity that I get to share my testimony, share my story, I don't take it for granted by any means. So thank you. Really, I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Oh, you bet.
Us too. Thank you.
And one of the things that we like to do is have you choose how far back you want to go. Some people go back into their childhood, some people not, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Kind of take us back, knowing that we're not able to get into all the detail, but we want to give a good taste. A lot of the people that were watching maybe this video on YouTube, that might be the first exposure that will lead them to your sites and things like that. So in keeping that in mind, where do you want to kind of start with what your journey has been?
Well, it started on the night of February 23rd, 1990. I am now 38 years old, but at that time, I was just a 6-year-old boy, born fairly healthy, typical. There were no issues. I was meeting all my milestones. And one night after karate class, when I was 6 years old, I collapsed in my home with heart failure. And that's when the journey really began. My mom is a physician, so she was able to do enough quick thinking in that moment to keep me alive long enough until we got to the hospital. But when she got to the hospital, thinking that, they would figure out immediately what was wrong and that I would be home, doctors looked at her and said, "We have no idea what your son has. And we honestly don't think that he will live to see his 7th birthday." And at that time, it was February. My birthday's in July, so they basically gave me less than 6 months to live at the time.
Yeah.
I had an emergency pacemaker implanted, which happened to save my life. And I had my pacemaker for 10 years before going through puberty and just the changes of my body growing up. My heart was no longer able to keep up. And so that is when I needed my first heart transplant.
Okay.
And how old were you at your first transplant?
16.
Oh,
wow.
Lord.
I was a junior in high school, just feeling like I was about to start my life, getting ready to apply for colleges, and here I was being told by doctors that the only way for you to live is to have somebody else's organ put into your body. Now, at that time, at 16, transplants, I would say they weren't as common as they are now, and so it was a concept that I really had never heard of before.
Yeah.
So I was terrified.
Very, yeah.
But I think there just came a point when it's like do or die. And, I looked in the face of my mom and she begged me to just cooperate and to not fight the process. And I'm so glad that I did because, having my transplants is why I'm still here today, which is why I'm so grateful for my angel donors, for that ultimate sacrifice and that ultimate selfless gift. It really, really is such a beautiful thing.
Yes.
You've had three.
So my first transplant was when I was 16. That heart rejected after 4 years. And so I had my second heart transplant just at the age of 21. I actually spent my 21st birthday in the hospital waiting for my second heart transplant. And during that time, my kidneys failed, which is what led to the me being on for 2.5 years before receiving my kidney transplant.
Yeah.
So I had all these transplants, the pacemaker, and for the first 20 years of my life, it was believed that I had an isolated heart issue. And so I was just dealing with the cardiac aspect of my illness. It wasn't until my late 20s when I started to have weakness in my legs and weakness in my diaphragm that I was finally diagnosed with myofibrillary myopathy. And when I first had that weakness in my legs, I just thought, maybe I needed to go back to the gym. Maybe I'm not eating enough. Maybe I have to switch around my nutrition. So I got a gym membership. I was back in the gym. I was working out because, a lot of people don't realize, but prior to this, I was fully functioning. I was walking. I was playing sports. I was driving. I was fully independent. And all of that kind of changed when I was 27. And I got the news that I had this rare genetic disorder called myofibrillary myopathy.
Okay.
Wow. I'm really grateful for a lot of what's happening in the heart space. I mean, the American Heart Association. I don't know if you know JT Laybourne and some of the things that he's recently done here on TikTok with them. Yes. And boy, we're friends on here with that organization, and if you haven't connected with them, reach out, man, because
sure,
I don't think I've ever heard of 3 heart transplants. And
you guys, you're looking at a beautiful example of why clicking that little box, I'm a donor, matters so much.
Yeah, really.
And a lot of people, I think there's misconceptions where people believe that if they become a donor and something happens to them, then, that the medical team might not try and save their life, or they might just, that's not true at all. There's a lot of misconceptions, I feel, around organ donation. And so that's why I want to spread awareness and share and stuff so that people understand that it's nothing like that at all. People see you in an accident and say, oh, well, just let him go so we could take his heart. That's not how it goes.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that may very well be a real fear for a lot of people. And those being dispelled, you're dispelling a lot of, your life matters. They're going to fight as hard as they can. But look at what a beautiful life is still with us because of it.
Yes. I'm very grateful. Not a day goes by that I don't think about those souls and these, and again, like I said, it's the ultimate selfless sacrifice. It really is. And if you become an organ donor and God forbid something does happen to you, you could potentially not just save one life but several.
So true.
Essentially, my donors, they live on. And that is one of my missions is to honor them by making them proud and carrying on their spirit forever and having their legacy live along with mine. It's not just my story anymore. It's their story. And, I just hope they're proud.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, no doubt. You've got some angels out there that cannot smile any bigger. And what a beautiful family that
Thank you.
You all have made in such a, you said it beautifully. It's the ultimate sacrifice, and it's one of the most stunning ways that you can say I love you to your brothers and sisters. And what a connection that you'll always have.
Yes. Amen.
Yeah, to me, I mean, there's so many miracles that we take for granted or dismiss that it's even a miracle, right? I mean, the fact that we just even have organs that are compatible with the water that comes into our system and oxygen, we just don't really, give thought to it. To take that at a higher level, I just getting chills all throughout tonight, man, because it's just such an amazing thing. But to take it to another level where we've been blessed from those that have passed on and from our Creator to have each other help each other in that way. You talk about collaboration is kind of like a hot keyword, right? Catchy phrase in terms of people kind of working together and things.
You want to talk about the ultimate collaboration?
Yeah, that's the ultimate. I mean, but I mean, it's true, and that there's such a sharing that happens and a connectivity that happens when you're collaborating with people, and I know that the souls of your donors are absolutely, like you're saying, involved with active collaborations, not just with that physical part of them, but boy, they know that you have had your time extended here.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, the credit is not just because you had some great heart surgeons and someone decided to do, in order for all of that to still fit and to not boot your spirit out, there's a Creator, or at least something, higher than all of us that is involved, that should, whatever walk of life that you come through, hopefully that can increase your faith in whatever, fill in the blank. You know, it's not for us to say what that is for you. But boy, there's much more that's at work than just that was lucky or, you know, whatever.
Yeah. It's gonna be time for me to really understand that and to realize that my purpose is bigger than me, you know, bigger than any of for many, many years, I didn't really understand all the things at work, kind of behind the scenes, you know, to get me where I am today. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful not just for the experiences, but for the things I've learned along the way also.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Difficult and challenging, but it has not come without growth.
Yeah. What I love is you balance this raw honesty about moments throughout your life where there was pain that was inconceivable, where there were days that you, I'm sure, seemed to last an eternity, you know, just a single day, or that you wondered, you know, why, and but who you are and how you present yourself and what you're trying to do, and the angels that walk with you now, that are your forever family, emanates from you so easily. And I have my own suffering, and so my heart's already with you. You know, you're already a brother to me. So, but I'll put it this way. Your title needs to be one man with 4 or 5 hearts. You've got mine, or just a million hearts.
Oh, I love it.
You speak the language that we're trying to speak. I can't say thank you enough for fighting during those hard times, or breathing, taking another breath when it may have seemed like to do that was to carry the world. Because there's just not enough you out there. And but you alone can carry an enormous amount, and you can change an enormous amount. And I have so much respect for you.
Yeah, really.
So much. And I just know that we were high-fiving at some point. We were like, I'll see you later, you know?
I mean, it says on his site, a story of one man's journey to change the face of chronic illness. Yes. I mean, you cannot get more kindred than that.
No.
You know, I mean, how, you know.
And look at his beautiful smile. He has all the reasons in the world to be woe is me, to be, I'm just too tired for this, to be, you know, I don't want to wear a shirt, takes 10 minutes to put that on, or whatever. He's got all the reasons, and he just, really. You just keep going. You just keep going, and you're incredible. So, you're going to have to put up with me crying probably this whole time, but
we were ball babies yesterday.
You're such a kindred spirit for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's taken a long time for me to get here. You know, at the end of the day, I'm human. And I do have my bad days. I don't ever want to and think like, oh wow, it's so easy for him. He doesn't. I definitely have moments of feeling down and depressed, and you know, we all do. My point though is that you have to be able to, as you said, fight through it and pull yourself up out of those dark moments, no matter how hopeless they may seem. No matter how helpless you may feel, it does not last forever. I had dialysis, you know, I was hooked up to a machine for 4 hours getting my blood clean. I left there with a pounding migraine, nauseous, not feeling well, but at the end of the day, you know, I said I was going to do this. I got into bed, I took a nap, you know, I refreshed myself. And just the mentality of telling myself, listen, Chris, you got this. You can do this. You're gonna get up. You're gonna have a wonderful interview. Just those affirmations that I was giving myself.
Yeah.
Little, I found myself starting to feel better with every passing.
That's amazing, man. Getting
So
blessed from above. We call that grace, man. You know,
yes, for
pick you
sure.
up, right?
And you know, that's why. Listen, you said there's not many me's out there, but I believe that every single one of us has that power and strength inside of us.
Absolutely.
It's a matter of tapping into it. When people tell me, oh, if I was in your position, I would have given up a long time ago. I don't really believe that, because we all have the ability to conquer. We all have it inside. There's no one that's exempt from that. It's just
that's right.
whether or not you're willing to fight for it, whether or not you believe that you're worthy enough of fighting for it.
Yeah. Well,
perfect, beautiful.
And it's a discovery. It's such a discovery process. I mean, you go your whole life learning so much about yourself, but you're still not even discovering all of who you are, how you even came into being. I mean, it's just so mind-boggling, I mean, and people react to those truths differently, and we have a tendency to distract ourselves because we don't, so there's some wisdom in, one thing at a time, right? Or what's that saying of line upon line, right? Precept on precept. It needs to happen gradually, or it could maybe be a negative. It could be traumatic. It could be, or whatever. So sometimes a good, distraction, a sports game, a movie, things like that are good, rather than just being so overwhelmed with the depths of truths. But as far as the discovery process goes, and even with how well you tell your story and stuff, there's a few areas that I'm kind of unclear on it. Maybe you can kind of expound on a little bit.
Sure.
I don't understand. So we talked about the heart transplants, and you had the kidney transplant. There's 3 areas. So you had a kidney transplant, but yet you're doing dialysis, and then you have, I don't know what this is called, kind of like a trach thing. So how that, and you're talking and you're breathing. So how does that all work? And then you can't walk anymore.
Yeah.
So can you kind of spend some time on each of those points?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, I had the 2 heart transplants. I had my first when I was 16 and my second when I was 21. My first heart, I only waited 5 days to receive, which is practically unheard of. It's miraculous. My second transplant, I was not as lucky. I waited 7 months in the ICU for my second heart, and during that time, my body got so weak that my kidneys failed. My organs were slowly shutting down, and my kidneys failed. They tried everything to revive them, and they just were not able to. The plan was, when they transplanted the heart, they wanted to transplant the kidney as well. But being that I was so weak on the operating table, the doctors decided they didn't want to take a chance because they didn't know if I could survive the multiple organ transplant simultaneously. So they transplanted the heart, and I was placed on dialysis for 2.5 years. I finally got the call December 5th, my anniversary, what would have been my 15-year anniversary, just passed this past Sunday. December 5th of 2006, I got the phone call that they had received a kidney for me. It was a cadaver kidney. So with cadaver kidneys, they only last between 10 and 15 years. Mine lasted 11 wonderful years. And so 3.5 years ago, my transplanted kidney failed, which is why I've been back on dialysis for the last 3.5 years. Wow. So now I'm waiting for, hopefully, another kidney transplant. Family members have been tested. Unfortunately, my brother, who was a perfect match several years ago, he ended up having kidney stones, so he wasn't able to donate. So, there's a lot that goes involved with the donation process, and so I am still waiting for a second transplant. It'll be actually 4 years that I'll be on dialysis January 16th. So my 4-year anniversary.
So with having two kidneys, did you have just one transplanted?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
This is a very good point, because a lot of people don't realize that you only need one kidney to survive. One kidney, some people actually only have one functioning kidney, and they don't even realize until they go get a test done, And some people actually are born with 3 kidneys. So I still actually have both of my kidneys inside that did not work anymore, and I do have an additional transplant that was placed in my front groin on the left side. So I have 3 kidneys right now, but only one is working.
Okay.
Okay. So with the one,
only one was working when I had my transplant.
Oh, okay.
Now I would have additional, so I would have 4 if I get another transplant, a second transplant.
Wow.
But but they take out the other one, right? I mean, with the whole transplant, when you say.
Actually, that was something that I was not clear on either. They leave the transplanted kidney in, even though it's not working, because
really,
where it's placed, there is a very big concern with bleeding.
Whoa.
So now they would put another transplant on the other side of my groin.
Okay, and
so they're just adding it.
And if you've got one functioning kidney right now, is that not enough to prevent the dialysis?
No, not right now. I'm saying I had one functioning kidney when I had my transplant.
Right. He no longer does.
Oh, so now you have no functioning kidneys.
Yeah. I don't urinate at all. I don't pee. I don't go to the bathroom to pee. That is why I have dialysis, because dialysis cleans your blood of all that extra fluid and all those toxins that build up in your blood.
Mm.
And you need to do that how frequently?
3 times a week. So my schedule is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and my treatment is actually 3.5 hours.
Oh my word.
And you had that earlier today, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, forgive me if any of these questions get personal, but they're really honest questions that I think people would know. What do you do during that? Are you okay to just sleep?
Yeah.
Or is it uncomfortable where you just can't find yourself sleeping? Because
it varies from person to person. Me personally, I'll do some stuff, some work. I'll catch up on emails. I'll talk to friends, family members, and then usually about 2 hours into the treatment, that's when I start to feel drowsy, and then I'll kind of doze off for the hour. Some people sleep the whole treatment, other people can't sleep at all. So it really depends on the person. But, they give us TVs. You can bring a laptop. Sometimes I'm on my phone and I'm just watching a show on Netflix, or I play a game. It's really up to you, depending on how you feel. But I would say towards the end of the treatment is when you start to feel kind of queasy and not so hot. So,
okay. Oh my
can you does your body?
That's a long road.
Yeah.
3.5 years for this time.
Yeah, 3.5 years this round. Yeah.
It's so interesting because our youngest daughter, when she was just a baby, she started bleeding, and they found out that what they called was a dual system, and so she has what we were told when she was a baby, and we have to get it scanned again just to make sure, was it looks like she has 4 kidneys.
Oh wow!
Fully functioning.
Or ureters. Yeah.
Ureters.
There were. We know for sure there was the 4 ureters all going into the bladder, but
one was just attached.
Yeah, I think that there was some kind of it wasn't just the ureters. It was
so it was really backing up to a severe kidney infection, and then just a bad infection. And so when she was just teeny, she was you know, in the hospital and on home care just to get her healthy enough to have her operation. But as we sit and talk about, you know, the miracles of these organs, and she's 19 now, and she's wanted to know for sure if she does, you know, have that, so that in the future she can have that information and possibly bless somebody.
Yeah.
But they were like, they're either too really large and they looked beautiful, other than all the infection, or they seen kind of a thin line going right through. So they thought it was 4 functioning kidneys, which is just so interesting.
Yeah.
As you talk about, we sit
he's
here and
gone
talk about
through.
this. Yeah. Yeah.
How many children do you have?
We have 3.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Our oldest is 25.
Okay.
Did you see how
I was
we
just
started really hard?
We started young.
That's great.
I'd like to think of myself as fairly still young.
We have a grandbaby, a little grandbaby girl. She's 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love kids. I love children.
Yeah, we that's where Rex and I've had a lot of opportunities to, through the years, work with children in church callings, and there's just nothing better. Nothing better than their purity, their honesty, their zest for life, and who they are, you know, right when they're little. I wish that we could somehow have them hang on to that longer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or it'd be so amazing to be able to look back and be able to feel the feelings we had when we were so little, and the dreams that we had that we weren't afraid to dream, or the things that we, you know,
the innocence, the imagination,
the innocence. Yeah.
Well, and I've never met a kid that would turn down a horsey ride or a motorcycle, you know, motorcycle, spaceship, you know, that kind of thing.
My case, they're wheelchair rides.
Oh,
there you go.
I love it.
Oh, you know what, man? We got to get you hooked up with Andy. I don't know if you're following Andy's journey. We interviewed.
Yeah.
We interviewed her yesterday. Go to our YouTube channel. We've got it uploaded. It's the interviews. Check it out. But
Rex says he'll race her once we fly out.
Heck yeah. So we'll have to talk about collaboration, man. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah.
Have a race going on with you and her.
Oh my god.
Hell yeah. Get some Taco Bell, stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
Oh man.
He eats and breathes Taco Bell. If you didn't know, that's just a little fact about Rex.
Yeah, that's my treat. That's my good time.
Dude, me too. Brunch all day.
Okay, there you go. Oh man, there's a race. A race is apparently getting planned.
Yeah.
Trip to Taco Bell. Oh man. Okay, where were we? Jeez.
Well, so he was talking about the
your dialysis.
The dialysis, but I think that we were kind of moving into we talked a little bit about enough about that to kind of understand why they needed dialysis, right? Because it eventually, you know, failed even after the transplant. What about the, you know, the not being able to walk? What's going on there? Is that a different condition?
Your muscle condition.
Yes. So like I was saying earlier, originally we believed that I had an isolated cardiac issue. They thought that I just had problems and that was it. When 20s and I started to have, it felt like, you know, my legs were really heavy. And when I would go upstairs, it felt like I had cement blocks in my shoes. And I found it very strange. Like I said, I thought maybe I just needed to exercise more. I mentioned it to my mom, who was a physician at the time. And she said, oh, you should maybe come and see a neurologist. So I saw a neurologist who right away when I walked into the door, she noticed that I had like a foot drop and suggested that I get a muscle biopsy done of my left upper thigh. They also recommended that I get a full genetics blood test workup. And so between the both of those, I had those tests done, and 8 weeks later, I got the call to tell me that the blood test results were back and that I had a rare genetic disorder called myofibrillar myopathy. It's a very rare muscle disease. And so what happened was when I was 6 years old, it affected my heart muscle.
Oh.
So I had all the complications.
Oh, so they're connected. Yeah.
Everything ended up being connected and falling under this one umbrella called myofibrillar myopathy.
Wow.
So then it started to affect my leg muscles, which they told me would be a gradual, slow process. And so over the last 11 years is when I really started to lose my ability to walk. I went from using leg braces for a couple of years to using a walker for a couple of years. Then I was using the wheelchair intermittently until eventually I needed the wheelchair full time. I was very resistant to the process. I tried to fight it as much as I could. I did not want to be in a wheelchair. Not just for the physical aspect, for superficial vanity reasons. I was very insecure about it. I was very self-conscious. I grew up in a neighborhood where I was the popular, handsome kid. I was, throwing parties and things. So I convinced myself that somehow if I was in a wheelchair, I would be less than, or people would not love me as much or not want to be around me. And so again, I was very resistant to the process. And actually one day while I was in my bathroom shaving, I collapsed and I hit my head on the door frame, and I needed 8 staples to be put in my head. And
oh my word.
My sister cried at my bedside and begged me, and she was like, "Chris, please, you need to give it up. Like, now it's a matter of safety. It's not even a matter of vanity, and it's a matter of you protecting yourself. Imagine you fell in the shower, or you fell and nobody could hear you, or you fell and you bled out. Like, we can't take that chance." And so just seeing my sister so emotional and pleading with me to kind of do the right thing is when I gave in and was like, you know what, it's time for me to get in the wheelchair and also get a caregiver to help take care of me.
Yeah, there's in every story we hear, there's always that commonality that growth and maturity is happening, because you're confronted and you face the sobering reality that the virtues and the strengths and the character that you have is not equipped to bring success to fill in the blank. And in order to be successful with fill in the blank, you need to change something, right? And so there's the challenging aspect, and I'm glad that you're honest and being willing to be vulnerable about that part of things in the vanity. I know that I was a superficial vain cuss. I had kind of a similar thing, kind of a ladies' man, dance it up, before I met this, winner here that I wanted to snag up. But I could feel you on that, right? Because that shouldn't be dismissed, right? I mean, we want to be handsome or beautiful. We want to be this. We're maybe concerned with our shape or or whatever. Some of it might be tied to, what people esteemed us, when we were growing up and different. And so there's a lot of complexities that go behind that, and acknowledging that should also
what you thought your life would be.
Yeah, it should not have shame.
Your own plans.
You should not be ashamed. And you shared, I heard you talking just about even just some other things. I think I poked into a live once, and you just talked about how you have just gone through that process of, in short, being comfortable in your own skin, kind of giving yourself that permission. And how beautiful is that, right? And if you wait your whole life for the world to give you permission, then you are hostage, man.
Yeah. We're toast.
Yeah. You know, we're all beautiful in our own right, and that's kind of what I've learned is that, okay, because I'm in a wheelchair, that doesn't make me less handsome, you know?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I just had Sherry Cox say, "You're still handsome."
Oh, there you go. That's what I said at the beginning. Look at this face.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that quote on my website about changing the face of chronic illness is I want people to know that, you know, yes, if you have disabilities or if you're not the perfect size or if you know, don't look like the typical, you know, model-esque person, that does not take away from your beauty in any way, shape, or form. And, you know, I used to, when I first had my trach, which you asked about the trach, so my diaphragm was affected as well because of my disease. And the diaphragm is the muscle that supports your lung function. So my lungs are actually very healthy. It's just the diaphragm, which causes you to expand and contract with breathing, is very weak. And so that is why I need the ventilator. But I can only be represented in anti-cigarette, anti-smoking commercials. Anybody that I saw with a trach, they made it look so scary looking. And like that you had like, as if you were just an outcast from society. And so I want to change that. You know, I now hold my head high with my trach and I'm like, I make this trach look good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, really.
It's something
I love it so much.
that we have to work towards because, as you said, we all have those moments of like vanity and insecurity.
Yeah.
But, you know, at the end of the day, our differences is what makes us special and beautiful and unique, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so with the diaphragm kind of controlling that outward and inward oxygen movement, it's kind of like that billow, right? It's like the kind of thing. Does that completely not work? And even if it works a little bit, are you reliant not just on the whole, but is there something that's actually pushing and sucking, you know, is it doing the breathing kind of for you to where if you didn't, if you removed it, is your life at risk, you know?
So.
Ooh, don't scare me like that.
What's going on?
Out.
Okay.
Take it out and I'm able to talk.
Oh, did you just take it out?
Yes.
Oh.
Put your finger there.
Your face is.
No,
I scared the life out of me.
I didn't know what you're doing. What's happening? Heart.
I am totally fine.
Goodness grief, what you try to do here, you know? I mean, I know it's a 3-heart segment,
like,
you know.
There goes the race and Taco Bell. We're done.
I mean, I love you too much, brother. Don't do anything.
Oh. Oh. We're good. So you put your finger there to be able to talk, use your voice.
Yes. So,
okay.
My diaphragm still does function. It's very minimal, so I do get very tired pretty quickly without. But I am able to breathe without it, and I'm able to talk.
Okay. So you've got the air hole that like we all have, and then the diaphragm up and down. This is kind of like, it's like a supplemental where it's there and there's some activity going on, and it's just kind of help. So instead of having like, you know, you're in the hospital and you get your oxygen tube, and that kind of is just a supplemental, but you're still doing your own breathing. Kind of similar concept, right? But it's obviously more intense. But that's
yes. And so with the with my situation, when I sleep, I don't breathe at all. So it's like sleep apnea, really. So all of a sudden, the machine kind of takes over for me when I'm sleeping. But right now, just assisting.
Was that hard to let go of that control?
Was just gonna say,
dude, I mean, did that freak you out a little bit to kind of be like, okay,
you're gonna take over, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, I say that with my initial diagnosis and going into respiratory failure, um, I I had a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of depression. You know, I asked myself, how am I ever going to be happy? How am I ever going to enjoy my life again? You know, what kind of quality of life am I going to have when I'm attached to a breathing machine? 3 years later, I was packing that breathing machine and taking it to Jamaica, making my what it is now today. You know, it's crazy because just like Nell had said, you know, sometimes you get caught up and you can't see past the dark moments and the cloud is around you and you're like, I'm never going to get out of this. But had I given up 11 years ago, there are so many beautiful moments and experiences that I would have missed out on that I could have never seen to this point now where I'm so spiritually and mentally strong. Like I said in my documentary short, it's the strongest that I've ever been, despite being physically weak. You know, and so that is why it's so important to push through and keep fighting because you just don't know what's waiting for you on the other side of all of that pain. You know, there's a lot of beauty sometimes, a lot of just experience and growth that can come out of all of the dark times.
I love it.
You know?
Hang on, you guys. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. Hang on. And we're rooting you on.
Yes.
If you have hard moments, reach out.
Yes. I always say that too. It's so important to talk.
Yes.
You know, to talk and to reach out to people, even if it's a complete stranger. You know, even talking to God. You know, sometimes I lay in bed and I just have a casual conversation with God and just, you know, and like after that, I end up feeling so much better.
Yes.
Yeah. Or sometimes I'll yell at him, you know.
I was just going to say, if you have to yell, it doesn't matter. You do it.
You know, it's interesting.
But you live, you hang on.
Some of the ironic, you know, we kind of laugh about it, but some of the most raw connection that I've had that he was real and not just something that we were taught or this concept, right, is still feeling that there's a connection even when he's seen me at my worst. Like I've lashed out at him and, you know, you think, okay, well, blasphemy and you're going to hell, right? And instead he's given me a hug.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's when he's been the softest, I think. He knows.
Yeah. You know, just last month, I was in the hospital. Turns out I had a pulmonary embolism in my lung. And I was literally cursing the sky. It's like, God, can I get a break? After all of this, you know? Like, what is... And believe it or not, when I was in the hospital, on the day of my discharge, was when I got a phone call to tell me that my documentary had been officially accepted into its first film festival. And then I looked up and I was like, guys, I see what you're doing here. All right.
That's so awesome.
I know. You're like, sorry about that.
Yes.
Thank you. We could be cursing him one minute and thanking him the next.
Yes, yeah.
And he will love us through every second as long as we can, you know, it doesn't matter, but especially that cheering us on when we're fighting. He knows that, but there's no perfect way to fight. There's you know.
Yeah,
we just need to fight. Hang in there. Hang in there.
Yeah. I know that he's obviously the ultimate judge, but I'll just say one thing, you know, until we move off that subject a little bit. For years, I have been chronically carrying this misconception that the being that he was is this judging being. And I'm glad that I'm learning that I was wrong about that now, because I would be learning that I was wrong about it then. And I think it's going to be easier learning that I was wrong about it now. He is not that. He is the opposite of that. He's the one cheering you on. He's the one hugging you. He's the one, showering grace and trying to find every nook and cranny to bless you. And so if that rings true to any of you, and whatever whether it's God or universe or higher power, and you feel like that there's that space for you for your healing, just know it's okay. That too is a journey. This is a story of one man's journey to change the face of chronic illness. But you know what? That journey, there's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
And we're talking about some physical stuff, but boy, there's some spiritual, there's some emotional, there's some mental, there's some ups, there's some downs, there's permission, to have a swear word here and there, I mean, it'll be okay. So.
Yeah.
Can I always...
we talked about this yesterday, and we brought up a few times. Rex would ask me, well, first of all, you've certainly, seriously, I really mean this, have made me, I try to talk positivity even to my body, especially when it's in pain, and it's, and for some people that may seem strange as I say that, but I believe wholeheartedly in the way we think and the way we speak. And strangely, it may not be strange, or it may be to you guys, but I personally tell my body thank you every day, several times a day, because of the things that it's gone through and fought through and lived through. And our bodies are so incredible. So especially when you guys are feeling broken, that is exactly when you need to tell your body and your spirit, thank you for carrying me through this again and again,
rather than beating yourself up like, what stupid body, what the heck's going on,
so in those moments, Rex was still struggling with watching the suffering. And he would ask me, why do you not, what was it exactly? He was wondering why I didn't ask why.
I have had a full-blown faith crisis.
Yeah.
I just lost my shies on him, and I was like, what in the heck? There is nothing you could ever say to me that would make right what I've seen her have to go through. So let's just accept that. We're not going to ever reconcile. Yeah, you are the blah, blah, blah. I mean, I have seen some crazy stuff. And I know that people that are watching this, people that we haven't been able to connect with, they've got stories that are like that. And then they feel shame about those moments. And I'm in a better place. I'm not, we're not, we're not completely like there, but what she's saying is I've been in awe, because that's been an area that she's just been strong in. Her faith and her relationship, and to the point where it's helped me to change, right? Because I wouldn't want to challenge some of those things on my own. Yes. But she would never lead me, wrong, and having her be that example, and it really, when we have a conflict of views or position on things, and I'm seeing where she's at and what she would want for me, it creates an opportunity for me to be like, maybe she's a little bit more right on that than me, and I can move in that direction.
Yeah, no, and what I want to say about that is when Rex would say, he'd have moments and say, well, why aren't you upset at God, or why aren't you asking?
Yeah.
Just like you were saying, it for me, it wasn't a perfect journey either. All the years that he has been patient with me, and that he has loved me enough to give me, my doctor he was upset at me the third tumor that came around. He said, I told you not to come back. And went, yeah. Whoops. But Heavenly Father saw fit to show me. And it took three serious scares, and a lot of years for me to really, really live what I said with the first tumor, and that was, thy will be done. And then he allowed me a lot of years to really sit in that and allow that to happen truly. And I had to work a lot of muscles, spiritual muscles, to get where I am right now. And
so it wasn't always easy for you.
Oh no, goodness. It was I lived in fear for a lot of years, and it robbed me of a lot of life. And so I love that that's something that I just, and all of you that we talk to, nobody is exempt from that. We're all human. We're all going to, it doesn't feel natural. That's why it's called a refiner's fire. Or, you got to build these muscles just like any other muscle. And that's going to take time, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And you're going to feel like, sometimes he's going to ask you to jump, off this sheer cliff. And, but he's never, ever, I finally just realized there's just moments after years where what am I doing? Why am I fighting so hard? And then the more I moved with him, and then he finally said, no, if you get out of my way, then you could really see what I could do. And I stepped aside. Yeah. I stepped aside.
That saying of how God gives his, strongest best to his strongest warriors. I believe that we are very representative of that, because look at you now. Look at your mission and your testimony and what you're doing. I mean, the fact that we are here right now sharing this moment is because of everything that both of us have overcome. All three of us. Sure, you've had your thing. It may not be medical, but at the end of the day, we all have our own challenges and obstacles we have to face. And some of us, we wear them and you can see them, and others can't, But it does not affect the fact that every single one of us is on our own personal journey of life, and we're all facing different things, But listen, I believe that out of your pain and struggle is something so beautiful. The fact that you are doing this and sharing stories and sharing testimony, it's so powerful. It really is.
Listen, there's people in my life that have kind of, Nell, are you okay? When I said, this is what I want to do. And especially with the pain level, most people, I get on here and most people don't realize I'm in bed most of my life. So my sweet family and close friends are, especially this past year, have been like, what's going on? You're not going to be able to do that. And I said,
because she would want to be like this, 24/7, right? She wouldn't want to miss out on a thing.
Well, just some of the things that I know that I personally, him and I have had, moments where it's just God and I, and me really feeling what he wants and how he wants to move forward. And sometimes I'll present it to them and they'll go, how's that going to happen? And to see where we've come just from March, and to see the things that I've been able to physically be a part of, and to see what he has done is no small miracle. I'm sitting here with you, and just 7-8 months after I said, we need to do this, is not a small miracle. And I will never take this moment for granted.
Yeah.
And this is right here is proof, you guys, that Heavenly Father is gently saying to hang on, to hold on, to walk with him, get out of his way. And the miracles that you will see throughout your entire day, hour to hour, moment to moment, are stunning. You're a part of that. But I see you doing it. Could you have imagined 2 years ago, let's just go back 2 years, that you would be doing this incredible documentary that the world desperately needs?
Yes. Yeah.
It's just, you're just living proof.
Like
you're living proof.
Think of years back. I'm sure you had a moment. You were at a time in your life where the furthest thing from your mind was all of what you're doing right now, right? You were just trying to just cope. You're just trying to cope with what you're going through.
Exactly. I was just to get through it, you know. Sometimes it wasn't even day by day. Sometimes it was really minute by minute.
Oh yeah.
Just
yeah.
Make through. And so that's why I keep saying that giving up is not an option, because you don't know what lies ahead for you. You don't know what he has in store for you, what beautiful plans there are. And again, you know, when the darkness comes and it clouds your judgment, it's very easy to fall into those, like, woe is me, oh my gosh, my life is never. And I get it. And I always, you know, one of the things you mentioned before, which resonates with me because I say it all the time, is it's so important to let yourself feel your emotions, whatever they may be. Even if it's anger, sadness, frustration, depression, like, you gotta let yourself go through your process. And every one of us, we process things at different rates. But if you need to just take the time out for 48 hours, you need to have a good cry, you need to not get up out of bed, then do that. You know, because the only way to come out on the other side is to actually go through the trenches.
Experience it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's,
and we don't want to.
And that's
as
scary.
Humans,
it's
we're
scary.
like, I don't want to walk through that. I'd really rather go around it, even though it's 5 times as long.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's really
just don't stay in it. Don't stay there.
It really is it is talking to the root of what every person that goes through this life needs to experience and face.
A passage that we've got to go
through. That
through.
is that dynamic of fear and faith.
Yeah.
Everybody, you cannot go through this life and not be able to say that I know what it's like to walk, but be in fear while I'm walking. And then hopefully you're able to say, I know what it's like to walk by faith.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not just black and white, right? Sometimes it's like a mix, right? You're like, okay, I'm freaked out, but like I just went through an open door that I've never tried before, you know? I mean, it's a complicated thing, even under the best of circumstances. And so, I mean, if you know, I like talking in percentages. If you wake up one day and you've got 95% fear, but you've got 5% faith, and that gets you up out of bed, or that allows for you, like she does and teaches often, as, you know, send that spoonful of sugar and send a text to someone, brighten their smile or whatever, right? They're, you know, they say faith precedes the miracle, or faith without works is dead, and that's so true, right? So that
is what I love about the message that you're getting out there. It's that beautiful core, that center that we all need to find and we all need to cling to. And that's your stunning life. You just have to realize how stunning you really are.
Yeah, it builds my faith because I struggle with fear. I might have OCD and perfectionism, and so, you know,
no small things.
Magnify fear, and I'm like a basket case, right? No, no, I do all right, but you know, I mean, we've all, it's okay to have us all acknowledge that, you know what, you know, I'm afraid, I'm scared of this, I'm scared of that. So, that's what inspiration's about, is putting yourself out there, not puffing up and saying I'm just this inspiration, but just sharing what you're learning, what you're going through.
Well, I told myself many years ago that I personally found so much comfort in realizing that I'm not alone. Yes. And so if I can find that comfort, I want to be able to give that comfort to other people. And so I started writing my memoir. I told myself I was going to go all in and bare my soul on those pages because I wanted people to really trust me and know that, listen, we are all struggling with something. We're all going through different things. And it's a very, like I said, a very strange comfort in realizing that you're not alone in dealing with things. And so that is why I share. I don't share so that people feel bad for me. Every time people, you know, sometimes people come in my life and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, please don't be. Yeah. That's not the point of this. I am sharing to inspire, to motivate you, to let you know that, listen, you may be going through stuff, but we are all going through stuff, you know, and we can lean on each other for support and we can encourage each other. And when I'm down, you can pick me up and vice versa. But, you know, it's so important to just acknowledge the fact that your struggles, you're not going through them by yourself, you know?
Absolutely.
And I love, and one of the things that came to my mind, because I mean, you know, we talk about that a lot, but one of the things that really hit me with how you were saying that is that it's not like you're trying to thrive in that space and be like, well, you know what, that's actually not true because I'm not seeing everybody that has my exact condition. So I'm gonna, you know, so that's not gonna work for me. I mean, we could be tempted to do that, right? Yeah. But what you're saying is, look, let's not get caught up on the fact that I might have some uniqueness about, and maybe that's less frequent in terms of what I see and connect with, but there's enough commonality to where absolutely those truths can be truths. In that we're not alone. We don't have to slice and dice it so minutely that it spoils that connectivity that can happen. Love it.
I know it's.
I love that, man. That was like a pod, like because I'm sure that there are people that are like making progress and they're feeling like, okay, I found some people and they're going through stuff, but I know, I know that there are people that are like, well, you know what? I'm still feeling like I'm excluded because I still haven't seen anybody that has exactly what I have. And boy, what a takeaway. What a takeaway for them to be, you know, in grace, kind of challenge themselves, taking that responsibility for yourself, being a self-advocate, being, you know what, I don't need to think like that anymore because that's really not true. And that really does spoil me being able to connect. So maybe I can, and maybe they don't turn it off, but they can start challenging it.
Yeah. Little by little. Yeah.
And small steps lead to big changes. You know, a lot of people sometimes they're like, if they don't see something, that instant gratification, if they, you know, huge changes right away, they throw their hands up like, oh, it's never going to happen. But every big change that happens is a result of small incremental steps. One of my favorite quotes is, small hinges swing big doors. You know, it's
I love that.
True. It really is so true, you know, and sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back just for getting up out of bed in the morning, you know. Maybe then the day, you may decide, okay, I got up today, and maybe today I'll brush my hair, you know, and then the next day maybe I'll put on a nice top, and then you know, a week later you find yourself after those small incremental stages every day so much further along than you would have expected. But it takes those small steps to get there, you know? You can't skip steps. You gotta take how small
well, and being willing to not only being willing to walk through that door, but I know like with her and she, and I say this not in the sense that she doesn't come from this place, from a place of pride where it's like, if I can't do all of it, I'm not going to do all of it, any of it, right? I mean, you might have people that struggle with pride and that they're like, kind of have that attitude like, hey, I'm not going to do it unless it's like perfect, right? So I'm not saying it in that context at all, but I'm saying it in the context that her heart, she's such an empath that I've seen her, I've seen her struggle with, you know, maybe going forward with whatever is on her heart and mind through of what she'd want to have happen for that week, because she you know, it's difficult for her to know that the reality might be that I'm not able to fulfill it all. And so there's that, you know, I want to be able to give, like if I'm going to give a gift, I want it to be like a real gift for them to feel how special they really are. If I'm going to show up to an interview, I'm going to show up to all of the interviews because nobody's more important. You know what I mean? And you can see that, right? That exudes from her. So it's probably hard for her to take that principle and be, yeah.
Yeah, he knows where.
Yeah. It's to take that principle and be, you know what, like, honey, you show up for Christophe here. She probably won't be in a position where she could, you know, show up for the interview after. And that doesn't make that other person less important. So you do what you can. And that's probably hard for her because of that, you know.
It's very hard.
Yeah. I've watched.
I don't want any of you to feel like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Like you didn't show up for them. Like pick and choose, right? Oh, well, you might, you know, here's some circumstances and look at Nell. Ooh, she was able to show up and she had her makeup on and she seemed put together. Oh, was it?
Now you, girl, you look good, girl.
You know,
good.
Yeah.
You're so awesome.
You know what I mean, though? I mean, that would just break her heart if she if there was even just one soul that took away from something and been like, you know, I guess I just wasn't as important for Nell as the next person. That would just break her heart. So if that rings true for you, and that's part of what you're going through in terms of, you know, a text is only a text. I mean, we can go all day long about the examples that people may be confronting, and just do it anyway. Just do it anyway, and know that, you know, and that might require a little bit of faith in maybe a God or other people and the grace that they have, and that, you know, like that whole dynamic that I talked about is maybe God's not so judgmental as I thought. Maybe he's got more grace. Well, you know what? Maybe that's true for people too.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not going to be confronted by, you know, a huge, you know, wave of judgment because you didn't show up to this or didn't do something. And I absolutely think that can be discovered, you know. So put that foot forward and find out that, hey, you know what, maybe we were wrong about God or ourselves or each other, you know. Amen. Amen to myself. I think that was the first.
Yeah.
I think that was the first.
That was awesome.
I had to say amen to that. I don't know where that came from. Holy Spirit. So
that was amazing. That's self-love right there.
Yeah. Oh.
Amen. Oh my word.
Yeah, and you and Missy makes a good point. You are always you are there in spirit, even if you're not physically, and they can feel that. They can feel that. They can feel that when they see your, you know, an image, a logo, a text, you know, a Rex and Nell. I mean, it's just, it permeates, and they feel that. That's part of their experience. They get it.
Well, I know that, you know, so much of the reason why I just feel such a connection to you is we both love, have so much love for our brothers and sisters, and we want all of you to be okay, and to know how beautiful you are, and we want you to triumph so beautifully, and just to feel yourself blossom in time if you feel like you're at your lowest. He said it so in such a beautiful way that we were trying to say before, is just, you've got to allow yourself to go through that, whatever it is, whatever kind of pain, or anger or fear, or but we're all here for you, and we're going to walk right next to you. And if you ever need to say, I'm scared and I don't want to do this, then you reach out however you have to. Then I know that we both we have that same love, that same very, very true and pure and intense love for all of you that are suffering. And I just want to say that to those that are in both chats, or who might watch this later. That if you're in that moment right now, and you're going from minute to minute, because that when you said that would have been my amen. There are times that's so very real where you are so beat down, and a lot of times it starts with your body, and then you're mentally beat down, and you're spiritually beat down, because it sometimes can collapse on each other. And it is minute to minute some days, and especially during the holidays. It can get very hard and very lonely for some of you, and we're trying to scream from the rooftops, right? That we're here, we love you. He's oh my word, I love that you have truly lived, so that we get to now experience you in ways, with reading your book, watching your documentary. You have lived and lived hard, and we all get to be blessed to be able to hang on to those beautiful gifts that you have given us, that will be with us for so long. Just this preview that we were able to watch today, boy, if that doesn't suck you in, I don't know what. What an amazing life and soul that you are.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch, and we're gonna continue to. I tell people after we interview them, we like to have periodic Zooms, whether it's once or twice a year, where we bring in past guests. So watch for that kind of Zoom invite where we're all on a Zoom call, and certainly
they're great fun. Christophe, you'll have a blast.
And certainly would love to even have you back. So we'll figure that out. But
absolutely,
with us having about 5 minutes ish,
I would like.
What would you like to say to kind of wrap things up that they haven't already? To just turn over to you.
Well, I would just like anybody that is watching to know that no matter how dark things may seem, no matter how hopeless they may feel, you can always get through it. Your mind is so much more powerful than you may be realizing. We are capable of incredible things as long as we put our mind to it. And sometimes, we have to redefine our happiness. We may have one idea of happiness or one idea of the things that'll bring us joy. And sometimes you kind of have to reshape that and reshape your perspective. we create our own reality. I know that may sound a little cliche, but it's so true. That's why.
Yes.
Because we shape our existence, and 11 years ago, I was in a place where I could not even believe or understand or see how I could be happy as a disabled man. And I tell you, sitting here 11 years later, that I am full of joy, I'm full of happiness, and I am full of life. And that is because I chose that path. It's because I created that reality for myself. And so it's really possible. And despite, however dark and low you may feel, you can come out of it as long as you put your mind to it.
This is a very abled man right here. You just brother. Destroyed the word disabled because
handsome as hell, man.
Thank you.
I want you tonight when you're looking up at that ceiling, I want you to think, I am handsome as hell.
He's like, I do every night. No problem, I got it.
Oh, guys, this was such an honor and a pleasure. I've never felt so much positive, good, loving energy through the phone. I really,
my word.
I feel it through this call. I mean, it's as if we're sitting together in person.
I know.
Your energies.
I know.
Me, and they're so vibrant, and I'm grateful from the bottom of my heart for this experience. I really, really am. You guys are beautiful, beautiful people.
Thank you so much.
You said it. You just took it from my heart, and you have my heart. You are right here with me, and I'm carrying you with me every day. I don't care if I don't get to see you like this.
We are family, man. You're in, brother. You in. You ain't getting out now.
You're in trouble. You're in the family. Oh, my word. If there's anything, I extend that invitation to you as well. Anything that you need or any updates you want to give, we're always here.
Yeah,
always here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. You're so gracious to us as well.
So much love.
And we thank all of those that have joined us. Continue to
Thank
absolutely
you to
everybody. And hang on.
Yes. Hang on. I love that.
Hang on.
Love
Especially during the holidays. We're all three of us giving you all the biggest hug. And we mean that. We mean that. We don't just say those words. I try to picture it as much as I can so that and with a prayer that your spirit feels ours surrounding you somehow. And we'll let God do the rest.
Yeah. And we know that that's a big part of the energy, of course, right? I mean, we appreciate the compliment, but we know that God's involved with this and that he's touching people's souls. So, well, I know. I'm absent of words to just shower. I mean, really, I just forgive us for being a little bit of absent of what else to say. And it's just so amazing. So we will be in touch.
You're in my prayers as well. Seriously.
And thank you.
I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you.
Okay, cheering you on, my friend. We love everybody.
Thank you for being on.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Oh.